Namaste. Welcome to our continuous studies of Life Divine with Ranganath. We have reached Book 2, Chapter 1, Indeterminates, the Cosmic Determinations, and the Indeterminable. We are on page 310, and its para starts, moreover, the knowledge gained of the is of phenomena.
Yeah. So, we are doing only once a week. So, to remind you of what we have already read, I will just briefly tell you what he has said in the previous para. Okay? So, that's the first paragraph. Satchitananda is the creator of the universe. A consciousness inherent, hidden in the very substance of matter, is creating eternally. But it has two poles. It has two poles of its same range. A knowledge at the very summit and an ignorance at the very bottom. Both the things are there. Darkness and light. This infinite consciousness, locked and hidden in matter, expresses itself in a rising upward evolution. First, there is a life that appears in dead matter, in small infinitesimal quanta, unicellular organisms, microbes, etc. There is a growth of consciousness and a biological complexity to match the increasing consciousness. And that's all he has said. That's the maximum he has said. Now we come to the next paragraph, which we have read yesterday. Not yesterday, last time. But we will now go through each one. Okay. Moreover, the knowledge gained is of phenomena, not of the reality of things or of the foundations of existence. So, if this is clear, we go on. The knowledge that we get is knowledge of the phenomena. The phenomena is the events in the physical world. Everything that is phenomenal, there is a starting point and an ending point. It's the most superficial aspect of the ever existence. Matter, life and mind are the most superficial aspect of existence. If you want to compare it with the sea, it's like the waves only. You are seeing the waves and thinking that that's the whole of the sea. Actually, it is not. As you keep going deep, 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 go on, things get revealed which you never suspected exist in the sea. So exactly in the same way, when you plunge into your consciousness, you see that there are any number of things which you don't see on the surface. So, moreover, the knowledge gained is of phenomena, not the reality. Not of the reality of things or the foundations of existence. The foundations are the different planes of consciousness which are self-existent and eternal. Phenomena are not eternal. Okay? So, wherever our consciousness meets what seems to be a foundation, that foundation wears the appearance of a blank. When it is not a void, an original state which is featureless and a multitude of consequences which are not inherent in the origin and which nothing in it seems to justify or visibly to necessitate. So, is this clear? Whenever you go to a level of consciousness, okay, whenever our consciousness meets what seems to be a foundation. So, when from the normal consciousness you go to the self, that seems to be the foundation because it is eternal, infinite and immutable. So, foundations are immutable and solid. So, that's what you feel is the reality. But it wears the appearance of a blank because it is featureless. A blank is something which you can't describe in any way. So, when you go to the self, that seems to be very, very real. It's a foundation. But you can't describe it in any way. It seems to be a blank. Okay? When it is not a void, now, he is making a difference between a blank and a void. A blank is something which contains things and which can manifest them. But a void is eternally void. It can create nothing at all. So the Buddhists are interpreting in the, or rather I would say, Buddhist, not Buddhism, is interpreting, not Buddha. He refused to discuss philosophy. He says that it will create confusions. So he says that he's making a difference between blank and a void. A void is eternally incapable of producing anything.
Nihil? Nihil? Is it nihil what Sri Aurobindo is saying? Nihil, no?
I didn't
Negation.
understand.
That zero, no? Which is not having anything.
Zero. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, even a zero, the word is not important.
Like blank is like a blank page. So there is nothing.
Yeah.
Something can be written on it.
Yes.
Whereas void is that there is nothing absolutely.
Yes,
There is nothing.
that's what I'm saying. Okay, but it can produce. The best example is take a seed. Okay, you blow up the seed. Will you see fruits and flowers and leaves and bark in it? No.
Okay.
So that is a blank. It seems to be a blank, but it can produce everything. But a void is it can never produce anything. Okay. So there is a difference. When it is not a void, an original state which is featureless and a multitude of consequences which are not inherent in the origin and which nothing in it seems to justify or visibly to necessitate. When you are in the consciousness of the self, you feel that is what is creating the physical world. But how is it creating? It has got nothing in it. The seed has got nothing of the fruits and flowers. You can blow it up as much as you want, you will never see them. Yet it is producing. Okay? Exactly like any living tissue. Okay? When we started our existence, we were just one unicellular creature which got fertilized and then it started dividing and producing all the different tissues slowly. So that's what it's saying. It's a miracle. Okay? An original state which is featureless and a multitude of consequences. From that, consequences of the physical world, all the forms in the physical world are coming from that which is featureless. Okay? Which are not inherent in the origin. In the self, it is featureless and you don't see anything. That's why it's a blank. Okay? Sri Aurobindo says it's not a void. Others say it's a void. An original state which is featureless and a multitude of consequences which are not inherent in the origin and which nothing in it seems to justify or visibly to necessitate. Okay? How can something come out of nothing? There is a mass of superstructure which has no clear native relation to the fundamental existence. The fundamental existence is a seed, and the mass of superstructure is a tree with all its different features. Okay? The self is the fundamental existence, and the superstructure, he is calling superstructure, but actually it produces all the mass of because when he uses the word superstructure, it could mean something on top. Okay? So if you use the image of the tree, then it is a superstructure. When you use the image of matter, okay, which seems to be a blank and producing all sorts of things, then it's a superstructure.
See, the words foundation and superstructure are to do with buildings. So, foundation you have and then you have the superstructure.
Yeah.
Seems more like that vocabulary.
He is giving that impression, and that's why I told you again that the seed is below and the tree is above. And if you think of matter producing everything, evolutionary, then again the superstructure counts.
Keyword here, there is no clear native relation.
Yeah.
There is a native relation, but it's not clear.
Yeah. You don't see it, okay? It's justified. There is a mass of structure which has no clear native relation to the fundamental existence. The first aspect of cosmic existence is an infinite, which is to our perception an indeterminate, if not indeterminable. Okay? Let's have a look at this, what he's saying. The first aspect of cosmic existence is an infinite. If you think of matter, it's an infinite, which is to our perception an indeterminate. Matter does not seem to contain the form that it is producing. Where is the tree? Where is the animal in matter? It's not there. Okay? So it is an indeterminate, if not indeterminable. So he's saying that you can consider also that you can never know this mystery, indeterminable. In fact, that is absolutely true, because afterwards he will discuss in this para itself how it's a miracle. Out of nothing he is producing all these things. The usual example that we give of this, actually this is a Maya. He will explain this by Maya, which he has already done earlier. Out of mud, the divine is creating, or rather matter is creating a lotus. Where is that lotus in matter? It's not there at all. Or it is producing the most magnificent fruits and flowers. They don't seem to exist here at all.
One doubt here, when he says indeterminate, so the word determine means to know, right?
Determinate, we discussed right earlier. If you think of determinate, which got features. Take it in that sense. Okay? This table is a determinate, because I can tell you the size. It's made of wood, it is brown color, it's got this weight and this size. I can give determinates, I can give features to it. But matter, I can't. Okay? That's what he's saying. The first aspect of cosmic existence is an infinite, which is to our perception an indeterminate. You can't give. In fact, the Jain philosophy is very interesting. It says that you can never describe something fully. It is always an unknown. Because he says, the Jain philosophy says, how are you going to describe an object? Take even a stone. You can say it has got this weight, it has got color, it has got shape, it has got shape, but you don't know what other things it has got. And now you have to start saying what it is not. Then only you can say, you can determine a thing. So what it is not is the whole universe. So that is why the Jains say that everything is indeterminate in a certain sense, because you are not able to define it correctly. Okay? So the first aspect of cosmic is an infinite, which is to our perception an indeterminate. If not indeterminable, it can never be known. Maybe, if not indeterminable. In this infinite, the universe itself, whether in its aspect of energy or its aspect of structure, appears as an indeterminate determination, a boundless finite. Now let's try and understand what he's saying about this. In this infinite universe, in this infinite, normally I think you should have put a comma there. In this infinite, the indeterminable, the universe itself, whether in its aspect of energy or its aspect of structure. He is talking, in the universe there are two things. There is form and there is energy. Okay? So, form is structure. And energy is
Force.
Yeah.
Energy.
Yeah. Okay? Or whether it is all living creatures have got a form and energy. There is matter and there is energy. Energy also appears as an indeterminate determination. Okay. What does he mean by that? A boundless finite, paradoxical but necessary expressions which would seem to indicate that we are face to face with the supra-rational mystery as the base of things. Actually, I forgot to bring a chart, but we can explain this in a particular way. We can say that, okay, we'll put it in this way. He's saying there are things which are, he's saying there's indeterminate determination. So
it's like opposite of.
Let's understand this, okay? So take molten metal, okay? If you look at what it is going to produce, what can molten metal produce? It can produce steel bars, it can produce wires, it can produce plates. So, compared to the plate which I can describe, compared to the wire which I can describe, compared to the ingots which I can make, that is an indeterminate.
Yes.
But these are the determinates. But if you go one step higher, okay, then so at each thing that is there, it is indeterminate in relation to that which is lower than itself. But it's a determinate if you look at it from a higher point of view. Okay, so I'll make it very clear with the image of life. That's the best. Okay, take life in general. Okay, it's an indeterminate. And it is producing determinates. What are the determinates of life? Normally they say vertebrates and invertebrates. So already it has produced two determinations. Okay. Now let's take the vertebrates. How many types of vertebrates are there? There are normally, when I used to study biology, there was 5. Now they have changed the whole thing and there may be more. There are birds, there are mammals, there are reptiles, there are amphibians, and there is one more, insects. Okay? So, the indeterminate life is producing determinate vertebrates and invertebrates. The vertebrates are indeterminate in relation to the 5 things that it is producing. Okay? And again, if you say the mammals, okay, the mammals can be horse family, dog family, cat family. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As you keep coming down, more and more determinates are being made. But as you keep going up, the indeterminate, more and more indeterminate, more and more indeterminate. This is what he's saying. So, the physical world is the most determinate with all the forms. But when you go to the self, it seems to be indeterminate. But that also is determined by the transcendent. So, if you keep in mind the gradations of substance from the lowest to the highest, this becomes clear. Okay. In relation to the higher, the lower is always a determinate. But in relation to the lower, it's an indeterminate because it's producing so many different types of things. Okay? So that's what he's saying. Even it can go farther and farther and farther and farther. If you go to, we discussed only the mammals I took, okay? It can produce the horse family. It can produce a cat family. It can produce a dog family. Now, the horse family can produce a zebra. It can produce a horse. It can produce a cow, okay? Buffalo. All these are what are called the ungulates, they call them. So it can produce all these things. Take the cat family. In the cat family, you have tigers, lions, lynxes, okay? Cats, leopards, cheetahs. Now, if you take the cheetah family, each one is different from the other. So, the one is splitting up into many, and the many is again producing more many. This is the whole chapter. And as you keep going up, the mystery is there. There is always something which is unknown. Okay? Got the basic idea?
Yes.
Okay. So, this is a supra-rational mystery. Okay? So this is what he's saying.
Boundless finite.
Yeah, boundless finite. Okay.
Why is he putting it in quotes?
Huh?
Why is it in quotation marks, boundless finite?
I think he's referring to some reference to some science. Somebody said that, I think. I think James Jeans or somebody.
I have no idea.
I'm also not sure, but I think he's referring.
Usually when he's putting in double quotes like this, quoting somebody.
No, because I think he refers to James Jeans somewhere. Okay. He was a philosopher plus a scientist. So I think he is referring to him, but I am not sure. Each one can find out for himself. So he's saying we are faced with a supra-rational mystery as a base of things in that universe. Okay? As a base of things, base of things.
Yeah.
In that universe arise from where? Okay? a vast number and variety of general and particular determinates which do not appear to be warranted by anything perceptible in the nature of the infinite, but seem to be imposed, or it may be self-imposed. We'll have to discuss that upon it. So, let's look at this. So, he's saying there is an indeterminate which is producing determinates. Okay, so that's very clear what he's saying. Okay, but from where is it producing? How is it producing? How is life producing vertebrates and invertebrates from something? But if you go even from the vertebrates, how is it producing all these different types of 5 different types of things? Okay. No, I made a mistake. I said insects, but insects are invertebrates.
Who is the 5th then?
So, what are the 5? Mammals, reptiles, fish.
Fish. I
eliminated the fish. And reptiles, amphibians. Okay, so these are the 5. So, and each one is producing, take also the fish family. How many different types of fish are again formed? Okay, there's no end to it.
Yeah, shark and...
This is the mystery that he's saying. So we are face to face with a supra-rational mystery as the base of things in that universe. Okay, all right. I'll make it even more specific. Okay, if you go down to the last building blocks of the universe, they are the atoms. Okay, now an atom is a nucleus of energy with some electrons going around it. Okay, that's all. That's a building block of the universe. But if I put one electron around that, its character is one thing. If I put 2, the character changes entirely. How? If I put 3, it changes entirely. It becomes a totally different thing. I am putting the same thing and yet it becomes totally different. Oxygen, hydrogen, all the elements that we have, they are all basically, the structure is the same. But you are putting different quantity and the character changes. Quantity is determining quality. This is the mystery. That's what he's saying. How can that happen? We can't explain at all. We can't understand at all how it happens. Another example that he himself gives, take hydrogen and oxygen and bring them together, and what does it produce? Water. How does water come out of hydrogen and oxygen? It's impossible to understand.
That too, if you add one more molecule, it becomes hydrogen peroxide, which is a gas.
So that's what he's saying. It's impossible to understand how the number of electrons changes the substance itself. Quality changes altogether.
Okay. Featureless actually raises this question in a letter. He says, why is the change in quantity bringing such a difference in quality? But he does not elaborate it. He does not give his reasons.
In fact, he's saying very clearly, you cannot explain.
But everything can be explained.
No, how?
Divine is omniscient, and if we attain that omniscience, we can explain everything.
Not in words, that's the whole point. You can't explain logically. You can understand it, but you can't explain logically. That is the Maya. The Maya of the divine is, it is creating magic. But if you go to the highest level of consciousness, you can understand how it is taking place. But you come down to the mental level, impossible to understand.
And just for clarity's sake, Maya in Sri Aurobindo's explanation means the capacity in the infinite to appear itself as finite.
That's right.
Nothing else.
To make forms.
It is not illusion or trickery or anything.
No. The Maya, there is a higher Maya and a lower Maya. The higher Maya in the supermind is the power to create real forms. In the lower Maya, it is interpreted as the power to create illusions. It's the same power, but in different grades. Okay. There are a vast number and variety of general and particular determinates. So a general determinate creates particular determinates. Okay, this is clear? So, the mammal family is the general determinate of life, of vertebrates. But the mammal family creates particular determinates. Okay, general, particular. That's what he's saying. His words are a little, but you have to understand what he's saying. That's why there is this gradation. Everything in relation to the above is a determinate. It is more describable. But in relation to that which is below it, it's an indeterminate. Okay? He's saying from where? Now that's a question that he's asking, and we have to try to find a answer to that. From where is that which is featureless creating features? Okay, from where? A vast number and variety of general and particular determinates which do not appear to be warranted by anything perceptible in the nature of the infinite. Okay? But seem to be imposed, or it may be self-imposed. Now there's two different things. Something imposed on by outside, or something it is self-creating. There's a difference between the two.
What do you mean impose here? What Sri Aurobindo means by impose here?
Putting something on from outside. Okay? I can impose a rule on you.
Okay.
Okay? I can impose a character on you. I can impose a duty on you. Okay? I can impose a condition on you. Mm-hmm. You can't get out of this room.
But in this context, so nature, something imposing on itself.
How is it creating the form?
Okay.
That's what he's saying. So is it creating the form by its own power? Or is it something, he's taking something from outside and creating a form?
Oh.
That's what he's meaning.
Okay.
Okay? Does it have the power of self-creation, or is it taking help of something else to create? Okay? Or it may be self-imposed upon it. We give to the energy which produces them the name of nature. But the word conveys no meaning unless it is that the nature of things is what it is by virtue of a force which arranges them according to an inherent truth in them. Okay? But the nature of that truth itself, the reason why these determinates are what they are, is nowhere visible. It has been possible indeed for human science to detect the process or many processes of material things. But this knowledge does not throw any light on the major question. And what is that major question? We do not know even the rationality of the original cosmic processes. For the results do not present themselves as their necessary but only pragmatic and actual consequence. We do not know from where the universe has come. We do not know why these things happen. I can study and use electricity, but I don't know what it is.
Rational means logic, right here. Rational word means logic, right?
Yeah.
Reason.
Rationality is the reason.
Reason. Okay.
Ratiocination is the process of intelligent thinking. And rationality is a reason for something.
Reason.
The cause.
Cause, okay.
Okay. Of the original cosmic processes, for the results do not present themselves as their necessary, but only pragmatic and actual consequence. We don't see
cause of things.
Yeah, how it can come out.
Yeah, we see the consequence only, right?
The only consequence we see and we can use it, but we don't know why it is coming out. Okay.
Causal world, no? That's what Sri Aurobindo say. Causal world, no?
Yes.
We are not. It's not available to us.
Yes. The causal world is the most indeterminate.
Oh.
It's the one that seems to be a blank. And this also is very interesting. Why is it a blank? Because if it had features, it could produce only something which is determined by its features. So creation would be something limited. That is why it is featureless. Okay, I'll make it more specific. I am a carpenter. Okay? And I have with me rosewood. What sort of furniture can I make? How much can I make? Whatever furniture I make, it will always have the quality of only rosewood. I am limited. But suppose I take a white wood, okay, cedar, white cedar. I can produce also things, but that is determining my So, when something has got a quality and has got features, I am limited in my production. So, but the divine is not limited. So, he must necessarily, logically, have a substance which is featureless to be able to create the infinite. Clear?
Yes.
That is why it is featureless.
Sri Aurobindo uses the word Ananta Guna.
Yeah.
Apart from Saguna and Nirguna,
That's
he
right.
also emphasizes the word Ananta Guna.
Ananta guna, but in that Ananta you don't see the gunas.
Because infinity is something.
Because it is featureless. That's a mystery. That's what he's saying. Okay? In the end, we do not know how these determinates came into or out of the original indeterminate. Now, just see, he is giving you both the options. Have they come into the indeterminate from somewhere or out of the indeterminate? Self-reproduction or imposition. Okay? So, the language is very terse, but you have to understand what he's saying. He has referred to it earlier.
Yes, that before he said,
Yeah.
no?
Is it coming from outside or is it producing from inside? Okay, so on which they stand.
No, into or out of here would mean that they are part of the indeterminate. Like.
No, I'm referring to that sentence where he says,
Where he says that...
how they came into? Came into or out.
Achha, into means coming from somewhere else. But I am saying that into could mean that inside the indeterminate they have.
No, then it is inside.
Then it is inside, not into.
He has told you about the imposition. Is it coming from outside something or is it coming from inside? Is it self-creation or is it something outside? Okay, so that's what he is discussing. Okay, so at the came into or out of the original indeterminate or indeterminable. Okay, that also is possible. On which they stand forth as a blank and flat background in the riddle of their ordered occurrence. Okay? It's a riddle and they are coming out of something which you cannot explain. Okay? At the origin of things, we are faced with an infinite containing a mass of unexplained finites, an indivisible, full of endless divisions, an immutable, teeming with mutations and differentiae. The example of the atoms, the energy which is quantum is determining quality. So you can understand that by what he's saying here. You take the same thing and it changes color. The same thing with light also. The frequency of light changing, the vibration is the same. Okay? Change the frequency and it completely becomes something else. Red becomes blue, blue becomes, but they're all coming from one indeterminate, which is the vibration, the frequency. That's the only thing.
Here, ordered occurrence means not in sequence, no? It means in an harmonious order.
No, I think it means ordered occurrence. There is a higher and a lower. Na? The indeterminate is producing a determinate. Now this determinate becomes an indeterminate for that which is coming below it.
So it means a sequence.
Yeah. I think he's talking of a sequence. Okay? So, a cosmic paradox is the beginning of all things, a paradox without any key to its significance. So, we don't know how these things happen. How is it that if I change and put number of electrons into something, it changes its character completely? How? We don't know. Okay? So,
can we relate this line to the line of Savitri? Our life is a paradox with God for key.
yes.
And say to ourselves that unless and until we attain that Purushottama,
That's right.
we cannot really understand anything.
Yes. Absolutely. That's what he's saying. So,
And this is where Mayavad falls short because it doesn't believe in the Purushottama. For it, Ishvara is something below Brahman and there is no reality
That's
of
right.
the Ishvara.
That's why Shankara says the Maya is unexplainable. It is impossible. Anirvachaniya. It's a mystery. And that's why he says God is a magician. At our level, he is a magician. What he produces is magic. But if you understand him personally, then it's not magic. You understand everything. So in this para he's saying, it's very short, but the knowledge that is available to us is of processes and not the essentials, of superficials, not the roots, the hows and not the whys. What he's saying is, science has discovered the processes of things. I know how to use electricity. I know how to use materials. I know how to use them. But I don't know what it is. I have no idea. That's what he's saying. It is possible indeed to question the need of positing an infinite which contains our formed universe, although this conception is imperatively demanded by our mind as a necessary basis to its conceptions, for it is unable to fix or assign a limit, whether in space or time or essential existence beyond, which there is nothing, or before or after which there is nothing. Although too, the alternative is a void or nihil, which can be only an abyss of the infinite into which we refuse to look. An infinite mystic zero of non-existence would replace an infinite X as a necessary postulate, a basis for our seeing of all that is to us existence. But even if we refuse to recognize anything as real, except the limitless expanding finite of the material universe and its teeming determinations, the enigma remains the same. Infinite existence, infinite non-being, or boundless finite are all to us original indeterminates or indeterminables. Okay, either we can say that we don't know it, or it can never be known. This is what the materialist also says. A materialist, if he believes in God, he says that maybe God is there, but I can never know him. Or it is impossible to know nothing is there. That's an indeterminable. Okay. We can assign to them no distinct characters or features, nothing which would predetermine their determinations. To describe the fundamental character of the universe as space or time or space-time does not help us, for even if these are not abstractions of our intelligence, which we impose by our mental view on the cosmos, the mind's necessary perspective of its picture, these too are indeterminates and carry in themselves no clue to the origin of the determinations that take place in them. Okay. There is still no explanation of the strange process by which things are determined, or of their powers, qualities and properties, no revelation of their true nature, origin, significance. So it's impossible for us to know how it is coming. This is the main thing.
Another one question.
Yeah.
Since this is such a philosophical chapter, do you think that it is necessary for a student to read some philosophy prior to reading this kind of chapters in Enlightenment?
It would certainly help.
Like what? What do you suggest?
Yeah, no, it would help because, but it may not help also. It depends. I think to understand Srivamda, you have to have a pretty sharp mind. Otherwise, it's difficult to understand him. And you have to understand the use of his words.
Yes.
Okay?
That's mean.
And he goes into great detail, like just now we saw, na? Into or out. What does it mean? He is very clear, but we have to understand what he's saying. Achha, now there is another thing, what he's saying here. Okay, we'll discuss it next time. But basically what he's saying here is, but one may question the need of postulating, hypothesizing an infinite. Why do we know? How do we feel that there is an infinite? Even science is telling you there is a finite, boundless.
Boundless finite.
Boundless finite. So, You are positing that. You don't know whether it's a fact or not. But the Sri Aurobindo says it imposes itself on you. Because the moment you think that the universe is finite, the question arises, what is there after that?
Exactly.
So it's impossible. It imposes itself on you. The concept of infinite imposes itself on the mind. The moment you think of a finite, what is there after it? So there's nothing. It goes on and on and on. So that's what he's saying. One may question the need of postulating, hypothesizing an infinite. But the mind insists on it. If there is a finite only, the mind questions. What is there beyond that point? Even if we say only a void, still it's an infinite void. That infinite is still a mystery. How does that unknown, indeterminate infinite produce the finite, known determinates of the universe? This is what he's asking in this para. I think the best example of this is we can think of that. Either the seed or the atom. The more electrons you put in, all the electrons are same. They are only little bits of energy. And you put it in and it changes the complete character. How come?
Yes.
Sri Aurobindo has even written a sonnet on the electron. Sri Aurobindo has even written a sonnet on the electron.
Yeah. Or you can also think of the light. No? The light also. The vibration, if it changes the vibration, basically the quality changes. Blue becomes red, red becomes violet, becomes green. How? So it's impossible to understand. That's what he's saying.
Like, I myself raised this question of the difficulty of this chapter, and I mentioned the Purushottam of the Gita, but the Gita's new thing which it brings in is the bhakti element. So what I'm trying to say is that even that bhakti can help you to understand this kind of philosophy. That's what I'm trying to argue. Because that paradox is solved when you find God. And he says that there is no real shortcut in yoga, but if there is any shortcut, then that shortcut is bhakti.
I would say that bhakti, when it finds its aim, then it is possible to understand this.
Yeah.
But bhakti at our level will not help you to understand this. Devotion will not help you to understand. There are very foolish people who are full of devotion. Very unintelligent people. And there are very intelligent people who have no devotion.
Actually, just to complete that, this is why in the essays on the Gita, when he says the core of the teaching, he says first karma, then jnana, then bhakti. And this is the order in the synthesis also.
So we stop today.
Yeah, we'll stop for today. Namaste.